record the first call from Rob.
Okay, here we go. Okay. That's weird.
Is that working?
Yeah, he's frozen. Here, move. There we go.
Oh, I think we're gonna get a little bit of that.
Okay. Here, I need a video of this. Okay, so here's my view. Chris, and then Rob's on FaceTime. Okay.
November is quiet, a settling into stillness. No more rumbling of tractors or giant trucks hauling crops from surrounding farms. Now, leaves crunch under our boots, walnuts thump to the ground. Friends that we share the farm with skitter through the hedgerows. Swans call from the river, and the geese from empty fields. The frost has come. Skeletons of plants in the cutting garden stand frozen in time. Birds' nests once hidden reveal themselves. And after months of planting, trialing, selecting, documenting, saving, scrambling, we can finally exhale. And in the silence of stopping, something unexpected happens. We remember how to breathe. This is the month we put the farm to bed. Plastic comes off the hoop houses, dahlias are lifted and stored, bulbs get tucked into the ground, seeds are cleaned and sorted, held in waiting. Everything is covered and allowed to rest.
Cover crop sprouted?
Yeah, just barely.
November reminds me of a watercolor painting. It's soft and shimmers with gold, rust, burnt oranges. Chrysanthemums providing the last burst of color before winter. You can feel the farm's exhaustion, and that's exactly as it should be. It cannot give endlessly without receiving. Rest is not a surrender. It's a recovery, a preparation. Come spring, when the air will warm and days will lengthen, energy will push up from the earth and beauty will return. Because of what we are doing right now. This is November at Floret.
All right, shall we?
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty morning.
Huh?
Pretty morning.
Beautiful morning.
The air is crisp.
I know. It feels like winter more than fall.
Yeah.
I haven't been out on the farm for, I don't know, like 5 days or something.
Yeah.
And Francisco and Jakin and the guys have been super busy, so I want to go see what they've been doing.
We're in November now, obviously, and it's interesting as this project has evolved. I was thinking about this today. It's just like in August or whatever, we have this we've got 27 things that we want to talk about, and we have to wean down, And then in November, we're kind of okay, well, things are disappearing and everything like that. So it's a different vibe, and I'll be curious to see how this one comes together. We always start with what does November or whatever month look like? I was curious what November sounds like.
The two sounds are all of the leaves falling, and then up in the air you hear the swans flying over. They sleep on the river, which is just a few hundred feet really from our house. So in the morning, they fly in, they do this big pattern. And then they go out into the fields and they eat the old rotten potatoes, and they go do their thing during the day. And then in the evening, as the sun sets, they then fly back over the farm and bed down on the river. There's a kind of an eerie silence. You don't hear everybody driving down the road bringing in the harvest. It's much quieter out in the farmland. So the sounds are more exaggerated. We should get foot walking in leaves. That's one of the noises.
Well, we will.
Okay.
Let's do our walk.
Okay. That's one of my favorite things that we planted was the beech hedge.
Yeah.
I just love how they hold on to their leaves all winter.
Mm-hmm.
And they turn that beautiful copper color.
Yeah. It's really good.
Ah, look at all these little crabs. We get a lot of beautiful sunrises and some really epic sunsets. And it is dewy and foggy, but there's also a lot of rain. I mean, this month is very wet. Everything is dripping and falling over and just kind of soggy. I feel like November is Pacific Northwest. It's dark by 4:30. It's damp. It's hard to not be depressed. I mean, I'm glad there's still a little color on the trees, but it's just about gone. And then it'll just turn from green to gold to brown. The whole farm feels like a watercolor painting, but it's just about over. And then it'll just be skeletons until spring.
Is it hard to accept the end of the season?
This year, I felt more sad, kind of a longing than in years past. Like, don't feel ready, even though I've been with the flowers and I've been outside and I've been just totally in it. I just still felt like there was more I wanted to see and do and experience that I didn't get to. That might have been because I did so much writing and a lot of that's on the computer. So even though I would go out and take notes, I'd have to come in and transcribe them and, work behind the computer. But yeah, this year I have felt more like, it's going to be feels like it's going to be a long winter. It's a long time until we have flowers again.
Yeah. Well, what's left? I mean, obviously you're surrounded by flowers right now.
What is left are chrysanthemums. It's so funny because we went to see a friend on Monday and I brought her flowers and she's like, but the flowers are done. It frosted. It's a forgotten surprise. Like, we planted them, we've been taking care of them, but I think we all forgot. Man, that one is a stunner. Look at that. So if I would have disbudded, which would be like if I took off all the side buds and just let a flower develop, this is how big it would get. But if you don't disbud, this is what'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this like kind of bunched up
Like little
spray.
tight sprays.
Yeah, so I definitely want to try disbudding next year. I did a trial and have grown, what did Nikki texted me, 76 varieties of different chrysanthemums, because there's a lot of new varieties or varieties I haven't grown before that I wanted to see how they did. And we have them tucked in a hoop house. So even though it frosted outside, it's just enough protection from the weather to keep them going.
So give me a quick rundown, because I don't know anything about chrysanthemums.
They're a fall blooming flower, and as the days get shorter, that's what tells them to start flowering. So the very earliest varieties, you'll get them in October, but they typically are in their full glory in the month of November. So when we started growing flowers, when you thought of chrysanthemums, everybody was like, yuck, like that would be the request at the florist. No baby's breath, no red roses, no chrysanthemums. I mean, they were tacky, they were ugly. You see them at the grocery store, spray painted or dyed, and then glitters thrown on them. Like, they didn't have a good reputation. Look at that wild girl.
Wild girl.
Party animal. It's called Evening Glow. I love doing this. I don't think there's anything I like more than documenting
flower varieties, especially ones that have fallen out of favor, and you're like, there's no way that someone is not going to fall in love with chrysanthemums once they see River City. Like, try to not get addicted. Or this, George Couchman. Or who's this one? Nijin Bigo? Yeah, just try. Apricot Alexis, look at that. There's absolutely no way someone can deny this beauty and not go absolutely crazy. Or lava, look at those curled tips. I mean, they look like fireworks. I was digging and digging, trying to figure out, like, there's gotta be something to these flowers. And I discovered a small nursery that was still propagating them. We got to go down and visit them. I had no idea that there were so many different varieties.
Can you show us a little example?
Like, this is a very, very different look. So this is a variety I've never grown before called River City. They become like almost brushed with gold. So there's little ones, there's big ones, there's round ones, there's spiky ones. This one is called Buff Rayonette. They almost look kind of needly. I'm not sure I love that, but the color's interesting. I think once you start really seeing all the different ones that are possible, it's kind of hard not to find something that you like. They're kind of quirky, but man, like, they last 2-3 weeks in the vase. They're incredible, and they bloom at a time when everything else is done. So they are that last gift, that last hurrah, that last bit of abundance. I just hope people fall in love with chrysanthemums. You know what I was thinking?
What?
What if I bred chrysanthemums? I mean, it never really occurred to me until now, but I wonder what that process involves. I should look into that. I mean, after I finish a book and all these other projects.
Here we go. It begins again. This is how it all starts, people.
The cycle repeats.
You just witnessed the beginning of a whole...
This is like, did you see the light bulb?
Yeah.
No, actually, it just, when I was bringing these in, I'm like, man, I wish I could get this form with this color. Or, you know?
I do know.
Can you kind of walk through some of the kind of things that the crew is working on in this month?
Yeah, so this month we've been putting the farm to bed. It's the big last push. I feel like it's the hardest month to be motivated to kind of wrap things up because the days are shorter, it's cold, it's wet. It's just like I don't know, it's not as motivating, but all the plastic has come off the greenhouses, all the seed was brought in, and then now the plants have all been cut down to the ground, put onto the compost pile. All the landscape fabric and irrigation have been taken up, and then cover crops been sown, so all of that's asleep. All the seed has been being dried and stirred and processed, and now they're starting to thresh it. Threshing is the process of essentially getting the seed to separate from its pod or its shell. On a small scale, you can crunch up the seed pods, or like say dahlias, for example, with your hands.
Here's Francisco threshing some sweet peas.
On a little bit larger scale, you can do it with your foot. The hammer mill has a hopper in the top where you pour the dry seed heads in, and it has these little plastic like feet that flip along. And as the seed falls down through it, it hits them, not too hard, but hard enough to help them break apart from the back of the seed pod. And so it separates it. And then you've got this bin of all of this dried chaff, which is like the dried petals and the dried pods, and then you also have the seed. And so winnowing is the process of separating the seed from the chaff or the debris using air. And so Jaken's handling all of the threshing, and then it goes to Eric, and then he puts it into the Winnow Wizard, which is this incredibly helpful tool that was invented by a seed farmer that Eric had worked with. And you pour then the chaff and seed into the top hopper. It comes down, and there's different levels of air and different types of screens that you can put in. There's all these settings. But essentially, the seed is heavy enough to fall straight down, and the chaff is light enough that it will blow away, and you're separating the two by air. Dahlia digging is a big project this month. So there's all the breeding varieties, and then there are all the varieties that I grew as part of a trial for Colorette. So those are getting dug up.
This guy's a beast.
Are you planting bulbs this month too?
Oh yeah, that's the other thing we're doing. So also in November, October and November, and I find it the hardest one of all is trying to get bulbs in the ground so that it's a gift to your future self. Planting for the spring.
Gotta bring him forward.
So out in the orchard, we're putting in a couple of rows more of heirloom kind of historic daffodils. So those are all going in. And then we have a greenhouse full of anemones and ranunculus and tulips.
Can we talk about the beginning of the month? You went on a trip. You got off the farm. What did you do?
Okay, so how do you feel? Give me, what do I want to ask you?
Yeah, so we got to finally, we always call it escape because it feels so hard to leave.
So where are we going?
We're going to Bend
Why?
to pick up lilacs.
Yeah, so we are driving from our farm in Mount Vernon down to Bend, Oregon to pick up a dozen. A dozen. It feels, these are some of the most rare lilacs that, I mean, these are varieties I couldn't find anywhere else, and I've been waiting for years for. And we have a friend that drove them all the way from New York State all the way to Oregon. So we're making a mad dash down to pick them up. Okay, so here they are. I know it doesn't look like much, but they're whoppers. What do you think?
When we got there, they were way bigger than we expected. And so with all the stuff that we packed, it was a bit of a puzzle to get them in the car.
It'll be fine, right?
Yeah, we're gonna.
But we did it. It's always fun. Chris is like, they'll fit. They always fit.
Okay, so there's 12 of these beauties. So we've got Mrs. Harding. We've got, what does that say? Blanche Sweet. Oh, these are some nice suckers. Oh, I'm very excited.
So we got those and then decided well, while we're down there, we didn't feel like being in the desert. We wanted to just hear the ocean. That's always for me the most grounding place, is just to hear the water, be by the water. I don't care if the weather's crappy.
Chris.
So we went to the Oregon coast to Cannon Beach and stayed for a couple of days, and we had no idea, but the first day we were there was super beautiful. Sun was out, the beach was glorious. And then we didn't know that the king tides were going to be happening. And so that's when the moon, I believe, is closest to the earth. And the tides are so much stronger and more intense. That was paired with some major storm. The wind was insane. It was blowing us back, blowing us away. We were trying to get footage.
Now we're on the beach.
I mean, we were just freezing and soaking, and it was wonderful.
Thought we should give a kitten update.
Okay, so Luna is not, Luna's a loner. She is definitely an introvert. Very sweet, but likes to watch you from a distance. She'll sit and watch you from across the room. Curious about the camera. Mm-hmm. But she's much bigger. Ooh, see? She's not having it. They have totally different personalities. This is Fennel because she is pure jet black, and we thought maybe because fennel tastes like black licorice. She's the sweetest, very social, very calm, lovely. And in total, someone dropped off 5 kittens and we kept 2. And Terry took 2, and then someone from Instagram came with their homeschool kids and got 1, which I love. Okay, so this is fennel. Gopher.
Let's see fennel really.
Should we turn so you can get better light?
I got it.
It is nice to have kitties in the house again, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good cat energy.
Yeah, they're sweet.
I think one of the things that I love the most in the fall garden is that you're no longer trying to keep things looking nice. You're just letting it go.
Yeah.
Not letting it, it's going. You're just not trying to intervene. You're not cleaning up. You're not tidying. I mean, this is like the perfect example. So leaving these sunflowers in place, and then you can see here the songbirds are landing and eating all of the leftover seeds off of those heads.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't clean up the garden too quickly, then they have food. And all these roses that we didn't deadhead are starting to form little tiny hips. As those hips ripen, there'll be more food for the birds. There's all kinds of seed pods.
So you're putting the farm to bed now, you're taking all the plastic off and doing all the things that kind of are like preparing for the hibernation, right, of the farm. Does that mean that you're cleaning the whole, like all the fields and everything too?
Where we're growing actual crops like the zinnia seed or out in the dahlia patch, those plants get cut to the ground and all of that debris gets put onto the compost. But in the cutting garden and where we have the pollinator strips, all of the perennials and obviously all the shrubs, we don't cut those to the ground. If you actually get down close and look, you'll realize that all of those flower heads still have seed in them. If you hold really still and are quiet, you can hear so much life. What you hear are little tiny feet hopping around, little birds chirping at each other, getting a snack. You hear mice running around, rabbits, like everything's kind of down at ground level. Like this is a natural cycle and you don't want to interrupt it. It looks more ratty and tattered and messy and also beautiful and magical and kind of witchy. It is definitely more motivating to leave the mess because you realize that that is the source of life.
But then in March, you're going to be itching to get outside and want something to do, and you can clean, you know? Cut everything back, weed. Because how cool is this going to look covered in frost or snow? They'll look beautiful. Those big candelabras from the verbascum. Oh, you're going to get caught in that rose.
Thanks.
That seems unsafe.
Can you talk a little bit about what the farm needs and what you need and what is the connection between those things?
For the farm, in order for it to produce so much abundance, so many flowers, so many seeds, so much beauty, it can't do that year round. Everything gets worn out at a certain point. And then when everything comes back to life in the spring, it's fresh and it's renewed and it's got all of this like life force again. The whole idea is to like hibernate and go within and slow down and get quiet. If you're just always going, you never have that time to reflect and to take it all in and be with it, to be with what you learned and change things going forward. You can just finish strong And then when you go into that period of rest, nothing is weighing on you in that same way because you don't have those regrets, those incompletions. You can just let it all go.